Hey everybody, Sarah Rockin' Robbins here. Welcome to our blog talk today. This is Sarah Robbins, author of the best-selling book, Rockstar Recruiting School. How many of you have used it to rock your business? Hope it blesses you. And creator of the CD series, the Rockstar Recruiting School, my entire success system for network marketing and program for leaders, the master class edition. I'm so glad you guys are here today. I wanted to talk to you about a very important topic, and that is the topic of purpose. Are any of you sitting here thinking, okay, the new year is here, but really I feel like I'm lacking direction or motivation. I don't really know how to start things up again, or I'm seeing people around me with all of these goals and, my life feels like, a little bit out of control, or perhaps you're in the place of complacency. We talked about that on last week's blog. By the way, the feedback from last week's blog, we had over 100,000 people tune in to just that one talk. Guys, it's phenomenal. And I don't say it to boast. I say it because I truly hope it blesses you. Go back to last week's post on sarahrobbins.com and check it out. But today I want to dig a little bit more into the topic of your purpose. Because it's so incredibly important. Now, some of you don't know my story. Maybe you're new and tuning in for the first time, so I'm going to quickly share it with you because I believe that it really is going to tie in nicely to today's talk. So bear with me if you've heard it before, but a short and condensed version. I am a formerly shy kindergarten teacher by trade, and I love teaching. I mean, when I was a little girl, I used to line up all of my dolls and stuffed animals and teach them school. So while I love teaching, unfortunately, because of Michigan's economy, I was facing the loss of my job, and I decided to pursue extra income, and my search led me to network marketing. Basically, I was looking for, part-time income. And I started working for a successful skincare company, and I was in the right place, as I say, in God's time. Our founders were looking for ways that they could reach more people, leverage today's social economy, bring it to the masses, and they decided to leave retail, and they chose direct sales. They gave myself and my mom, Chris, the opportunity to join them. Now, as I mentioned, I was a shy young kindergarten teacher. I had no entrepreneurial experience. I, in fact, had no network. I had 19 cents in my bank account. But because we were so desperate to make an income, and really to have a plan B, I decided to say yes and really become a student of the profession. You see, if I can do this, you guys, anybody can do this. And I poured a lot of time into my personal and professional growth, and it was incredible. In part-time hours, that first year was able to surpass my teaching income, and I retired. And it was just in time because that's actually when our school ended up shutting down. So I tell people, and you should tell people too, the time to look for a plan B is not when you need one. Thank God I had my business. So I decided to do this full time, and 5 years in, by the age of 29 years old, was our company's first six-figure per month income earner. Now, I did not imagine making that in a year, much less in a month. People are always like, did you imagine your life this way? I'm like, no. I mean, I feel incredibly grateful. I believe it's kept me humble and grounded every single day. I mean, it's just such a blessing to do what we do. Now, the best part is for myself and my husband, Phil, which, by the way, who has read his book? Best-selling book, The Secret Garage. It's amazing. Helps you to really grow in your faith. Important part of your success. But the best part for Phil and I is, really what we've been able to give to others through leadership, right? Through the legacy that we can leave as leaders. And really, when you get to a certain place in leadership, it's not about your goals. It's about helping other people, really, taking them to the places that they've been longing to go. So we think a lot about leadership. We also think about legacy for our son, Gabriel, and it's so incredible. We get to stay at home with him, and he gets to see how his parents live and how they give and how we love and how we lead. But it's incredible what we're able to give to others through the time and resources that our business and our business model provides to us. Not only are we able to give, we build orphanages overseas, but we also fund children's literacy programs here in the U.S., but we're also able to go several times a year to spend time with Gabriel's 117 brothers, 47 sisters, and counting, and all of the little kiddos that we spend time with all around the world. It's been such a blessing to us, and I always say, where else would I be able to do what we've done if it weren't for this incredible vehicle? So You all know that you found an incredible vehicle, but here's the truth. This is true. Do you want to hear it? Sometimes it's hard to hear the truth. Your purpose in life is not to be successful in your network marketing business or any other business for that matter. That's not your ultimate purpose in life. However, this vehicle of network marketing can be used to help you to fulfill your purpose. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today because I believe that that's really important to help us to distinguish and also understand, okay? Now, a lot of times people hear my story, they're so incredibly impressed. People reach out and say, can we feature you in this? Can we feature in that? What an amazing story. They don't know all of the pressure that I faced that led to my purpose. You see, you guys, during the time that I was in business, I went through, many different things personally, professionally. We even had a tragedy in our family. I faced the feelings of no, rejection, doubts, disappointment, defeat, just like you do. I've had people quit. I've had people join other people. I have probably heard the word no more times than I have even heard my name. Now, when I started, I was a big quitter. I was a big bundle of doubt and fear. In fact, our former CEO used to always say to me, Sarah, I believe you quit more than anybody else in the company. And I believe that she's right. I mean, really, I would ride the network marketing roller coaster. Somebody said yes, I was up. Somebody said no, I was down. Somebody joined me, I was up, I was in. Somebody said no, and I was down again. And I was really driven by those emotions, temporary feelings of defeat. And those moments, sometimes they would rock me to the core, and I was just ready to walk out on my dream. Can you believe it? Just walk out on my dream just because of one temporary disappointment. And it wasn't really until I got clear on my why that instead of being driven by doubts and disappointments, I was then instead driven by my dream. Can anybody else relate? Let's be honest with each other today, because I'm going to be really honest and raw and real with you guys today and share with you really some of the struggles, some of the pain, some of the things that really I went to get to where I am. But now really, because I'm so clear on my purpose, which is to bless women and children in need around the globe, here in the U.S., but also to leave love and legacy to those that I lead and those I touch, but also so my son sees that leadership and that love and action to leave him legacy. I am so clear on that, you guys. I refuse to quit because I know if I quit, I'm saying no to my team, my future team, all of those children, and ultimately my dream. When you say no, you're saying no to your purpose. You're saying no to your why. We have got to get to the place where instead of being driven by temporary disappointment, we are instead being driven by our dream, our why, our purpose. You guys, nothing can get me to quit. I believe that the choices that I make every day impact the lives of many other people. It's whether we say yes or we say no. I always say other people's blessings are tied to your obedience. Did you get that? Write that down. Other people's blessings are tied to your obedience. Your blessings are tied to your obedience. So to be strong in your field, you guys, whatever it is, whatever your career is, your ministry is. By the way, I tell a lot of the stories about my beginnings in my book. You have to be clear on your purpose too. I kind of wrote down a little story, and I wanted to share it with you today. I posted this, by the way, and some defining questions for you today on sarahrobbins.com. I want you to go to my blog and check it out. I'm going to be kind of shifting back and forth here because I'm going to read a few things and then back to you and ask you a few questions. But there's a great story, and we talked a little bit about it last week, and it's not a preaching story. I'm not going to preach at you. I'm not going to, make anybody uncomfortable here. I respect all people and all of our, different backgrounds and beliefs, etc. But this is a really great leadership story, okay? It's actually a story that I found in the Bible. It's of Moses and the Israelite people. And Moses was a leader who was actually chosen by God. Can you imagine that? To lead the Israelite out of people into slavery, basically into their promised land. Now, the Israelites people were God's chosen people. God himself actually showed the Israelite people their promised land. Could you imagine if God himself was like, I have this great thing for you, here it is, I'm going to show you. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, man, how our viewpoint would change, how we would change the way we viewed temporary disappointment if we knew where we were going, wouldn't it? That's the problem. We're too impatient. We just want to know right now. We want to see it all. instant gratification society. But the uncertainty is what builds our faith. That's what builds our character. That's what creates us into the leaders that we were destined to be. That's what really molds our character and all of those good things too. But God's plan was this, to bring them out of bondage into a land flowing with milk and honey. Eventually, the Egyptian people released the Israelites from slavery and made their journey to the promised land. Now we see all the way from Exodus through Numbers, at times, the journey didn't seem promising. And along the journey, they faced so many pressures. Now, I'm sure we can all relate, right? On our path to the promise, we face pressure. Somebody tells us no, they quit, we have a personal challenge, a family challenge, etc. Now, the trouble was this. Every time they faced the pressure, the Israelites, even though they knew the promise, wanted to go back to what was. The trouble is, what was Egypt. Remember, they were slaves there. Egypt wasn't better. They were slaves. Egypt was just what they knew. It was comfortable. Have you ever gotten stuck in your comfort zone? Camping in the place of complacency, wanting to go back to what was. I remember facing these challenges in my business sometimes, and I literally remember this one day sitting on my floor, and I was like, oh, God, and I'm murmuring and complaining just like the Israelites. It would have just been so much easier being a teacher. Was it really easier to face the loss of my job every single day? Not to mention, teaching really had its challenges too. So the Israelite people, like many of us, they continue to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And, they did this every time that the journey got tough. They would murmur and complain. They would blame their leader. Have you ever done that before? It's like the very reason we get into the business. It's the most amazing company. It's the most amazing leader. It's the most amazing team. And then the second it doesn't go our way, we don't take responsibility. But instead we want to, blame the company, blame the upline, blame the leaders. And sometimes they even blamed God. Now, they caused their journey to take far longer than it should. It should have been a 40-day journey, and their own reaction to the situations caused them to take 40 years. And they camped in the place of complacency, and they kept wanting to go back to what was. Now, I love this quote by Michelle Myers. She says, unrecognized complacency eventually develops into decline. I want you to write that down. Unrecognized complacency eventually develops into decline. Now, here's the saddest part of the story. Even though many of them knew their guarantee of the promised land, God showed it to them. Most of them, including Moses, the leader, they didn't make it. You can read the story yourself. Now, I wonder, what would have happened if the Israelite people would have stayed focused on the promise versus moments of temporary pressure? I almost find it hard to grasp. Don't you? That they continue to be disobedient when they were shown what was ahead of them, the promise in the very first place. And all they had to do was to be faithful, to keep on the journey. What if you were shown your promise? I want you to imagine this. God himself takes your hand and literally says, my son, my daughter, I have plans to prosper you. I want to show you what they are. And he shows you your purpose. He shows you the legacy you're meant to leave, the love that you're meant to give, and the life that you would be able to have if you would simply persevere through the pressure, if you would listen and obey. You're at the top of your field for a reason, so you can have the time and resources to be able to give, and the leadership legacy to be able to leave. Now, let me ask you this. If you were shown your promise, it was clear as day, would you give up on your purpose? Now, what if when he's showing you ultimately that purpose, he also shows you all of the pressures that you're going to have to face along the way? The people who will tell you no, the people who will, your haters who are going to, discourage you, the dream stealers. He's going to show you all of the doubts and the disappointments, the feelings that you'll face. If you still knew the purpose, would you allow a temporary disappointment to steal from your destiny? hope not. That is why it is so important, guys, that we're clear on our purpose. And on today's blog at sarahrobbins.com, I give you qualifying questions that will help you to figure out what exactly it is. We cannot just walk forward blindly and not know the path to take. It's like just driving around aimlessly and not knowing where we're going. When I started, actually, a lot of you have heard in my book, I talk about how my why, instead of being a motivator, it was a demotivator. When I started, every time somebody told me no, I wanted to quit. If they quit, I quit, like in my mind. And I'll never forget a mentor saying to me, what's your why? And I said, to start a foundation for women and children. She said, great, what's that going to cost? I said, millions. She said, how does that feel? I said, I'm overwhelmed. She said, that's the problem. Instead of being driven by your dream, your why, it's too big. Your purpose, it feels too far away. It's unrelatable to you right now. Now, every time a doubt or a disappointment comes in, you're driven by that versus being driven by your dreams. She said, open up a bank account every month, or open up a bank account and put aside a portion of your check every month and do something nice for a child or for a family in need. And as my income grew, so did the impact we were able to make on others. Doing something nice for a family or a few kids, and now opening up these orphanages. And, during the month of December, we gifted our very first home to a very deserving family. I suggest that you get really clear on your purpose, the big picture, but also do something today to start working toward. My husband said this the other day, and he heard it as a quote. I'm not sure who from, but you can feel free to post. But he said, do for one what you wish you could do for many. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I saw those kids in India. I just want to change the world. I want to adopt them all. What do I do? We can't. But imagine if we all pursued our individual purpose, what the world would look like today. Start small and build big toward your purpose. And I guarantee you, if you are so clear on your purpose, you're not going to let one disappointment steal from your destiny or from others' destinies, because remember, you're going to be blessing a lot of people. Other people's blessings are tied to your obedience, those that you're going to lead and those that you're going to give to, and places you'll go. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. A few qualifying questions, and again, I put more on the blog. What would a life of limitless opportunity look like for you? If time and money were no object, where would you live? How would you give? What would your children's life look like? What would your leadership look like? What kind of legacy would you leave? Guys, before we get into all of this network marketing training and business training and all of these things that we get into for the new year, you need to be clear on your purpose. Because if you're not, it's going to be so easy to walk out on it, like the Israelites, to turn your back to it, to want to camp in the place of complacency and go back to your comfort zone. What I want you to do today is this. Get into a quiet place, spend some quiet time. If you pray, pray. And really think about, go to my blog, get those qualifying questions, really think about, what would a life without limits look like for me? If time and money were no object, what would my life look like? Some of you need to give yourselves permission to dream again. It's never too early or too late to passionately pursue your dreams. You are here for a purpose. You have a great plan for your life. Start to write it down. Put on some music, write it down, get into a peaceful and quiet place. Everything else aligns when you're clear on your purpose. I promise you that. It helps you to face the fear, to persevere, to really give you the confidence and the character and the posture that you need. Everything else will fall into place. And when you're done, share it with, a spouse or a significant other, your sponsor, your accountability partner. Because I can tell you this, there is nothing like seeing your reason why in action. I want each one of us to be clear on our purpose this week. In fact, click share. Share this on all of your team pages. Share it with your dream. Because can you imagine if you together as a big army full of awesome warriors get clear on your purpose, where that path will lead? Guys, I am so excited. If you want to share your why and share your purpose below, feel free to share. No company names, please. Just share what a successful business would allow you to do. I'm cheering you on. I will pray for each one of you and your purpose if you go ahead and comment below. And so blessed by you guys. Head over to sarahrobbins.com for more on today's topic, but also for some qualifying questions to help you get clear on your purpose. Don't let any temporary doubt steal your destiny. You guys are conquerors. You are finishers. You are more than enough. You have more than enough. I believe in you. Have a great day. God bless. Goodbye for now.